Tonight, we travel back into the world's most forgotten history. Close your eyes for a moment, and let the busy edges of the present grow soft and distant. Let the room around you become still. Let the sounds of the day settle like dust after footsteps on an old road. Somewhere far away, beyond memory and beyond hurry, another morning is waiting. It is a slow morning beside the Nile. The sky is not yet bright. Night still rests over the river in a deep blue hush. A few stars remain, faint and patient, while the eastern horizon begins to pale. The air is cooler now than it will be later. It carries the smell of damp earth, reeds, ash from old cooking fires, and water that has moved quietly through darkness. In a village of mud brick homes, most people are still asleep. The houses stand close together, their walls thick and plain, built to hold back heat and keep a little coolness inside. Roofs are flat. Courtyards are small. Doors are wooden and rough with use. Sand gathers in corners. Clay jars wait beside walls. Baskets lean against shelves. A sleeping dog curls near a doorway, one ear lifting at the faintest sound. Inside one house, a child wakes before sunrise. He does not wake because he wishes to. He wakes because life around him wakes early, and always has. The room is dim. A small oil lamp burned low during the night and has gone out. Shapes appear slowly as dawn grows stronger. A woven mat lies beneath him. A folded cloth served as a pillow. Nearby, brothers and sisters still sleep in quiet heaps of blankets and limbs. He listens first. He hears someone moving in the courtyard. A clay jar being lifted. The soft scrape of sandals on stone. A cough from the next room. The distant bray of a donkey. Somewhere farther off, a rooster tries the morning with uncertain confidence. The child sits up slowly. His name is not written in any surviving record. Most names were not. Most childhoods passed quietly, without stone carvings or painted walls to preserve them. But children lived here in great numbers. They laughed, worked, argued, learned, carried water, chased goats, and grew tired in the sun. Their lives were real, even when history forgot to write them down. He rubs sleep from his eyes and steps onto the cool floor. For a little while, the ground still remembers night. His mother is already awake. She kneels beside a grinding stone in the courtyard. Her hands move with practiced rhythm, crushing grain into flour. Back and forth. Back and forth. The sound is steady and low, like breath. Beside her waits a bowl, a jar of water, and yesterday's ashes where fresh coals will soon glow again. She glances at the child and gives a small nod. There is affection in it, but mornings are not a time for many words. Work arrives early. Hunger does too. The child carries a jar to the corner basin where water was stored last evening. He pours some into a smaller bowl and washes his face. The water is cool and cloudy with silt. He shivers once, then wakes fully. The household stirs around him. A younger sister cries briefly, then settles. An older brother stretches and yawns. Their father steps in from outside after checking a tethered goat. His shoulders are broad from labor. His feet are cracked from fields and stone paths. He says little. Many fathers in such places were men of few morning words, saving strength for the day. Soon bread dough is shaped. The mother presses rounds of dough with firm hands, then places them against the hot inner wall of a small oven. Smoke rises gently. The smell begins at once warm grain, ash, and comfort. For a child, this smell may be one of the oldest forms of safety. Breakfast is simple. A piece of bread. Maybe onions. Perhaps dates if the season has been kind. Sometimes beans. Sometimes nothing more than bread and water. On fortunate days there may be a little beer, weak and nourishing, safer than standing water and common at many tables. The child eats quickly, but not carelessly. Food is work made visible. Grain was planted, cut, carried, threshed, ground, mixed, baked. Every bite passed through many hands. Outside, dawn opens wider. The Nile reflects pale gold now. Birds begin their small arguments among reeds. Boats tied near shore knock softly against wooden posts. The world is waking in layers. For children of the poor and ordinary, childhood was not a separate kingdom. It was woven into adult life from the start. There were games, certainly. There was laughter. There were songs and moments of foolish joy. But there was also carrying, fetching, sweeping, watching younger siblings, helping with animals, learning tools, learning patience, learning heat. This child's first task is water. He takes a jar, smaller than the heavy ones adults carry, and walks with other children toward the river path. The road is dust and packed earth. It winds between homes, gardens, and low walls. Bare feet and sandals have shaped it smooth over many years. Other children join him. They are drowsy, bright-eyed, serious, playful, all at once. One drags a stick through the dirt. Another balances a jar proudly with both hands. A girl hums to herself. Someone laughs at nothing important. Morning friendships need few words. At the riverbank, women already gather, filling jars, rinsing cloth, talking softly. Men prepare nets nearby. Reeds whisper where water meets mud. The child kneels and dips his jar carefully. The Nile is calm here, green-brown and patient, carrying stories from far to the south. He watches the ripples spread. Children often watch water. It moves with a freedom they do not yet have. When the jar is full, he stands and feels its weight. Not impossible. Not easy. He steadies it against his hip and begins the walk home. This is how strength arrives in childhood, not in grand moments, but in repeated small burdens. Back at the house, the sun has climbed higher. Coolness fades quickly now. The courtyard brightens. Shadows shorten. The father has gone toward the fields with tools over one shoulder. The older brother went with him. Today the child is still considered young enough to remain closer to home, but not young enough to remain idle. He sweeps the floor with a bundle of reeds. Dust moves, settles, rises again. He wipes bowls. He gathers scraps for goats. He watches the younger sister while his mother kneads more dough. He is learning responsibility the way one learns weather, by standing in it every day. Later, he may be sent to the market lane. There he would see baskets of figs, fish laid on mats, onions in piles, pottery stacked in careful towers, linen cloth folded pale and neat. He would smell sweat, bread, river mud, dung, herbs, smoke, and hot stone. Merchants would call out in practiced voices. Donkeys would object to everything. But for now, the morning remains domestic and close. His mother sits in the shade for a moment, mending cloth. Her hands never seem to stop working. Even rest contains motion. The child leans against the wall nearby, tracing lines in dust with one finger. Some children in Egypt learned letters. Most did not. To become a scribe was rare and valuable. It meant training, discipline, and access many families could not afford. A child destined for such learning might practice signs on broken pottery shards or smooth boards. He would copy shapes, memorize sounds, endure correction, and spend long hours seated where others labored standing. But this child's lessons are different. He learns how much grain fits in a jar by lifting it. He learns which goat kicks. He learns where shade falls in late afternoon. He learns how to spot spoiled onions, how to tie cord, how to hear mood in an adult's footsteps. These skills are unwritten, but essential. By mid-morning, heat settles heavily over the village. Walls glow warm. Air stills. Flies grow bold. Work continues because it must. The child carries reeds from one place to another. He helps turn bread. He is sent to call an ant from 2 houses away. He returns slowly, distracted by a lizard on a wall and a beetle rolling something ambitious across the road. Even in hard lives, children notice small wonders. At last, the ant arrives. She laughs at something the mother says. Their voices blend with the grinding stone's low rhythm. Adults speak of grain, neighbors, illness, prices, weather, marriage plans, sore backs, stubborn animals, and whether the river will be generous this season. The child hears everything and understands half. That is another part of childhood. Near noon, the father returns briefly for food. His skin shines with sweat. Dust clings to his legs. He drinks deeply, sits in shade, and eats bread with slow concentration. No one asks much of him while he rests. Labor under the sun empties a person quietly. The child watches him with mixed feelings. Children often do. Fathers can seem large as gates, distant as hills, familiar as daily bread. Love may be shown through teaching, through sternness, through bringing food home, through fixing what breaks. When the meal is done, the father places a hand on the child's shoulder only for a moment. Then he rises and returns to work. The touch remains after he has gone. Afternoon comes like a weight laid across the land. Many movements slow now. Even birds grow quieter. The child sits in the narrow shade of a wall with other children nearby. One has a carved toy animal of wood. Another tosses pebbles and tries to catch them. Someone draws houses in dust with a stick. Someone else pretends to command a grand boat on the Nile. Games are made from whatever exists. There are no bright stores, no shelves of purchased amusements, no separate rooms arranged for play. There is dirt, stone, sticks, scraps, imagination, and the company of others. Often, that is enough. Soon the younger sister wakes crying from sleep. The child is sent to comfort her. He makes faces. He brings her a smooth pebble. He lets her hold one finger while she calms. Responsibility and tenderness grow side by side. As the sun lowers a little, errands begin again. He walks with his mother to a nearby oven shared by several households. Bread smells drip through the lane. Women speak of whose child has fever, whose husband injured a hand, whose daughter may soon be promised in marriage. Such news moves through villages like breeze through reeds. The child listens again. He learns that adults carry worries children cannot yet measure. Taxes, harvests, flood levels, debt, sickness, age. Yet children carry their own burdens too. They tire easily and are expected to keep going. They are corrected sharply. They lose siblings to illness. They know hunger in lean times. They see grief early. But they also know closeness, rhythm, community, and the deep security of belonging to a household where everyone's work matters. Evening approaches. The heat softens. Long shadows return. Men come back from fields. Fishermen sort nets. Smoke rises from cooking fires across the village. The Nile catches orange light and gives it back gently. The child walks to the water once more, this time with his older brother. They carry jars together in companionable silence. The brother is nearly a man now, already harder in face and hand. He teases sometimes, protects sometimes, ignores sometimes. This too is ordinary love. At the bank they pause. Boats slide by slowly. Voices drift over water. A heron stands motionless, practicing patience better than any human can. The child asks a question about stars. The brother answers poorly but confidently. They both seem satisfied. Night gathers by degrees. Back home, supper is eaten seated close together. Bread again. Lentils perhaps. Maybe fish if fortune smiled. The lamp is lit. Flame trembles in the warm air. Walls glow amber. Faces soften. The day's labor loosens from shoulders one thread at a time. Someone tells a story half remembered. Someone laughs through a mouthful of bread. The younger sister falls asleep against their mother's side. Outside, footsteps pass, then fade. The child feels sleep coming before he wishes it. He lies again on the woven mat. The room smells of dust, oil, warm bodies, and bread. Through the doorway he can see a slice of night sky. He hears adults still talking softly. Numbers. Plans. Concern. Hope. Tomorrow's tasks. Then quieter still. Then only crickets. Then the long breathing of a household at rest. This was a slow childhood in an ancient land. Not easy. Not romantic. Not free from pain. But deeply tied to earth, river, family, hunger, weather, and time. A childhood where days repeated so often that life itself became a rhythm. And tomorrow, before dawn, the child will wake again to the scrape of sandals, the cool floor beneath his feet, and the smell of bread beginning in darkness. Before the sun returns, the village is already listening for it. Night has thinned but not yet gone. The stars fade one by one, as if gently carried away. The air is still cool enough to feel kind on the skin. In the silence before morning labor, there is a softness that will not last long. Inside the mud brick house, the child stirs in sleep. Dreams loosen slowly. He turns once on the woven mat. Nearby, someone murmurs and settles again. A hand reaches across in sleep, searching for warmth, then rests. Families often slept close together. Privacy was scarce, but so was loneliness. Then comes the first sound. A clay lid set down. Then another. The low scrape of grain being poured into a bowl. His mother is awake again. It seems to children that mothers never truly sleep, only pause. She rises in darkness as though guided by memory alone. Her hands know where every jar waits, where every tool rests, where each small thing belongs. Even without light, she moves through the house with certainty. The child opens his eyes. The room is gray and dim. The doorway shows the faintest wash of dawn outside. He hears the grinding stone begin its slow rhythm once more. Back and forth. Back and forth. A sound older than the village, older than walls, older perhaps than many prayers. He does not wish to rise. This is also part of childhood. There is always a moment between sleep and duty when the body hopes for mercy. Yet mornings in working households rarely offer it. He sits up, rubs his face, and lets the coolness of the floor wake him. Outside, the courtyard smells of grain dust and ash. His mother glances at him and smiles faintly this time. Perhaps she is less tired today. Perhaps the grain ground well. Perhaps there is no reason at all. Small smiles often come without explanation. She gives him a task with only a few words. He nods and takes the basket. Today he must gather dry reeds and bits of brush for fuel before the sun grows strong. Fire is always hungry. Bread, warmth, cooking pots, light at dusk all ask to be fed. So children learn early that even small sticks matter. He steps into the lane. Other doors open. Other children emerge with baskets, jars, sleepy eyes, and tangled hair. The village wakes as one body made of many homes. A cough from one house and the earth is pale beneath his feet. Fine dust rises around each step. The sky brightens from blue to pearl. Birds begin their morning calls among reeds near the river. The world is stretching. He bends often, gathering brittle stems, broken palm fibers, and any wood small enough to carry. He knows where to look now. Near walls where wind piles things. Along paths where cart pieces splinter. Beneath a tree where branches dropped months ago and dried in shade. A younger boy follows him. The younger boy copies everything. If the child lifts a twig, the boy lifts too. If the child inspects a branch, the boy does the same with great seriousness. Children learn by watching each other almost as much as by watching adults. Soon their baskets are half full. They sit for a moment on a low stone. The younger boy asks whether crocodiles ever walk into the village at night. The child says yes, many times, and that one once ate an entire storage jar. The younger boy believes this for a few breaths, then laughs when he realizes he should not. Morning friendship often sounds like nonsense shared under open sky. They return carrying fuel. At home, the mother has shaped dough and lit coals. The father is binding a strap on a tool handle. His movements are economical, every gesture used only once. He has no spare strength for careless motion. The child empties the basket beside the hearth. His reward is immediate and simple. A warm piece of fresh bread torn open by hand. Steam rises from the center. He blows on it once and eats while standing. There are few luxuries greater than bread while it is still hot. After the meal, the father nods toward the lane. Today the child will go to the fields. Not for full labor yet. Not from dawn to dusk. But enough to begin learning. Enough to feel the earth underfoot where food is won. They walk together beyond the village. The Nile lies nearby, broad and slow, reflecting early light. Irrigation channels branch away like veins through dark soil. Date palms stand with patient crowns above the fields. Men and women are already at work, bent among rows, lifting water, cutting weeds, checking boundaries, guiding animals. The child feels both pride and reluctance. To be brought here means he is growing. It also means the world asks more of him. His father gives him a small hoe. The tool feels heavier than expected. Wood smooth from use. Edge worn by many seasons. The father demonstrates once, saying little. Break the crusted soil. Pull weeds at the root. Do not strike the young shoots. Then he leaves the child to try. The first attempts are clumsy. He hits stones. He misses roots. He raises too much dust and too little earth. The father returns, corrects his grip, adjusts his stance, says only 2 words, then goes back to his own row. Children in such worlds often learn through brief instruction and long repetition. The sun rises higher. Soon the cool morning has vanished. Heat presses against neck and shoulders. Sweat forms and runs into eyes. Insects drift over wet channels. Mud grips ankles where the ground is damp. The child works for what feels like many hours, though it may be less than one. At last he straightens. His back aches in a new place. He looks around and sees adults still moving steadily, almost without pause. Hands cutting, lifting, carrying, tying. Bodies shaped by years of the same labor. He understands something without words. This is how households continue. At mid-morning, a woman brings water in jars and coarse bread wrapped in cloth. Everyone gathers in patches of shade where they can find it. Under a palm. Beside a wall. Near stacked baskets. They eat quietly at first, hunger louder than conversation. Then voices rise. Someone complains about a stubborn ox. Someone predicts the flood will be poor this year. Someone laughs at a neighbor who fell into a channel while showing off. The child listens while chewing slowly. Adults become easier to understand when they are resting. A man nearby notices the child's sore hands. He shows him how to wrap cloth around the palm to prevent blisters. He does this casually, without ceremony, then returns to eating. Kindness in working places is often practical. When the break ends, the father decides the child has done enough for one day. Not because the work is finished. It never is. But because exhaustion taught its lesson already. They walk back toward the village under the strengthening sun. The child carries the small hoe over one shoulder, imitating his father's stride. He hopes he looks capable. He likely looks very young. At home, his mother sees the dirt on his legs and the tired set of his face. She says nothing grand. She simply hands him water. He drinks deeply. Then she points to the younger sister, who needs watching while she goes to trade grain for onions. So even after field work, the day continues. The sister toddles in circles through the courtyard, carrying a broken cup like treasure. The child follows to prevent disaster. He rescues a jar. He redirects tiny hands from the fire pit. He invents a game involving shadows on the wall. This labor is lighter but no less real. When the mother returns, she smells of sun and market dust. She carries onions, a handful of herbs, and news. A neighbor's son has fever. A fisherman's boat rope snapped. A family from farther south arrived seeking work. The village changes in small ways each day, though from a distance it seems eternal. The hottest hours arrive. Even walls seem tired. The child lies in shade, one arm over his eyes. Flies bother him. Sleep comes in short pieces. Nearby, his mother repairs a basket. Her fingers thread reeds with patient precision. He asks if he may become a boatman one day. She says perhaps, if he learns the river. He asks if scribes work less than farmers. She smiles in a way that means yes and no. He asks if the stars ever fall into the Nile. She tells him to rest. Children's questions often bloom most strongly when adults are busiest. By late afternoon, the air softens slightly. The child joins other children near an open space between houses. Their game today is simple. A circle scratched in dirt. Stones tossed toward the center. Rules argued, forgotten, remade, and defended fiercely. One boy claims victory too early. A girl overturns the circle with one deliberate foot. Everyone shouts. Then everyone laughs. Dust rises around bare ankles. Sunlight slants gold across walls. For a little while, work loosens its grip. An older child brings a hoop made from bent reed. They race it along the lane using sticks to guide it. The hoop wobbles wildly. Children chase after it in delighted disorder. A dog joins for reasons known only to dogs. These moments matter. Not because they are grand, but because joy in hard lives often appears quickly and leaves quickly. Children learn to seize it while it passes. As evening nears, mothers call names from doorways. One by one the children scatter home. The child helps bring in water again. This time the jar feels heavier because his arms are tired from the field. He carries it anyway. At the riverbank, the light is low and beautiful. Boats return with nets hanging dark and wet. Voices carry softly over the water. The reeds glow at their edges. A breeze moves across the surface, cool and welcome. He wishes to stay longer. But home waits, and tasks wait with it. Back in the courtyard, onions are sliced. Lentils simmer. Bread warms on stone. Smoke rises straight upward in the calmer air. The father returns later than yesterday. His steps are slow. Dust covers him from shin to shoulder. He washes at the basin, saying almost nothing. The child notices the father's hands, swollen around the knuckles. During the meal, the child tells of using the hoe. The father listens while eating. Then he gives one short nod. It is enough praise to warm the child for hours. Night comes gently. The lamp is lit. Outside, voices fade house by house. Somewhere a baby cries again, then sleeps. Somewhere two neighbors continue an argument too tired to finish. Somewhere a flute plays a few wandering notes and stops. The child lies down aching pleasantly. His hands sting where blisters may come. His shoulders feel heavy. Yet inside the heaviness is pride. He has entered the edge of larger work. He watches the doorway sky darken. He thinks of fields shining in morning light. Of the river path. Of games in dust. Of hot bread. Of his father's nod. Sleep reaches him before his thoughts are done. And around the house, around the lane, around the village itself, ancient night settles once more beside the Nile. Night has a way of making every village feel older. When darkness covers the walls and roofs, when footsteps fade and fires become small red eyes in the ash, time seems to loosen. The houses could belong to yesterday, or 100 years before. The river keeps moving, and the stars keep their places, and human lives rest briefly between one labor and the next. Inside the house, the child sleeps deeply. The soreness in his hands has become part of his dreams. His arms lie heavy beside him. Nearby, his younger sister curls against their mother. His older brother mutters once and turns over. The father's breathing is slow and steady, like a tool set down at last. Hours pass quietly. Then the world begins again. Before dawn, the mother wakes first, as always. She does not rise quickly. For a moment she sits still, listening to the room, gathering strength. Then she stands and wraps her cloth around her shoulders against the coolness. She opens the door. Outside, the air feels washed clean by night. A faint mist rests near the river. The moon hangs pale and low, nearly ready to leave. Far off, a dog barks once, then loses interest. She kneels by the hearth and stirs old embers. Soon a faint glow returns. Then a thread of smoke. Then the first small flame of morning. The child wakes to the smell before he wakes to sound. Smoke, warm clay, grain. It is the smell of another day asking to begin. He blinks into the gray room and sits slowly. His hands are tender. He studies them with mild concern, turning the palms upward. Thin new blisters have risen there, Today the older brother goes to the fields early. The father follows. The child is left at home with his mother and sister. He feels relief first, then disappointment. To be spared hard labor can feel like kindness, but also like being considered small. His mother hands him a basket. There are lentils to sort. He sits cross-legged in the courtyard and pours them onto a woven mat. Dust, pebbles, broken husks, and shriveled grains must be removed by hand. He pinches each unwanted thing away and drops it aside. It is slow work. The kind of work children often receive because it teaches patience while helping the household. The kind of work adults can do faster, but cannot spare time for. Sunlight creeps across the courtyard floor. The younger sister sits beside him for a while, copying the motions badly and proudly. She places good lentils in the discard pile and stones in the bowl. He corrects her. She laughs and does it again. Soon she wanders away to inspect a lizard near the wall. The child keeps sorting. From nearby homes come the sounds of other mornings. Grinding stones. Water jars set down. A baby fussing. Women calling to one another across walls. Sandals brushing the lane. Someone singing only half a song while working. The village is an orchestra of ordinary things. Later, his mother sends him to borrow salt from a neighbor. He carries a small bowl and crosses the lane. The neighbor's doorway stands open. Inside, the room is cool and dim. An old woman sits on a stool braiding cord. Her hands move without hurry, though they never stop. She smiles when she sees him. Her face is lined like dry earth after flood water retreats. She fills the bowl generously, then adds a small fig on top. For carrying it carefully, she says. The child beams. Errands are more pleasant when they return with surprises. On his way back, he pauses where the lane widens near a wall painted long ago with faded shapes. Once the colors were bright. Now only traces remain. Birds. Reeds. Perhaps a boat. Time has rubbed them soft. He runs a finger near the paint but does not touch. Even children know when something feels sacred without knowing why. At home, his mother has begun weaving. A simple loom leans against the shaded wall. Threads stretch tight. Her fingers pass fibers over and under, pulling them into place with a rhythm as steady as breathing. Cloth appears slowly where none existed before. The child watches. He likes tasks that turn into visible things. Grain becomes bread. Mud becomes bricks. Fibers become cloth. Stories become memory. His mother notices him staring and invites him closer. She lets him hold the threads apart while she passes the shuttle through. He does so carefully, tongue pressed against his teeth in concentration. Then she lets him try. His first attempt tangles badly. She untangles it without blame. He tries again. Children grow skilled because someone allows clumsy beginnings. By mid-morning, heat gathers. The mother sends him and several other children to collect dung cakes drying beyond the houses. Fuel is fuel, whether gathered from brush or animal yards. They carry flat baskets and make faces about the smell, though they are used to it. The path leads past tethered goats and sleeping dogs into open ground where the sun already bites. They gather the dried pieces and stack them neatly. One child pretends they are temple treasures. Another declares himself king of the dunghill and is immediately ignored. The child laughs so hard he nearly drops his basket. Laughter sounds especially bright in plain places. When the baskets are full, they carry them home balancing carefully. Dust clings to sweaty ankles. A breeze comes off the Nile and feels like a blessing. At the river path they stop. No adults are near enough to object, so they crouch at the bank and splash water on faces and arms. The child cups water in both hands and lets it fall again through his fingers. The Nile moves on, unconcerned. He wonders where it has been. He wonders where it goes. Children ask large questions while doing small chores. Back home, the mother pretends annoyance at the delay but is relieved to see the full basket. She sets the fuel aside and gives the children each a piece of bread dipped in oil. Reward does not need to be grand. The hottest part of day arrives. This is when movement slows. Even argument softens. Dogs seek shade beneath carts. Chickens stand with wings slightly spread. Men in fields work more slowly and speak less. Women indoors shift tasks toward corners where shadow remains. The child lies near the doorway where air passes faintly through. His mother tells him to nap. He insists he is not tired. He falls asleep moments later. He dreams of being tall enough to steer a river boat alone. When he wakes, sunlight has moved across the room. His sister sleeps nearby with one hand open. The house is very quiet. His mother sits beside the wall mending a torn sandal strap. The child asks if he may go see the scribes near the storehouse. She considers, then nods. Do not bother them. He runs before permission can change its mind. The storehouse stands larger than ordinary homes, thick-walled and practical. Nearby, laborers carry sacks. Donkeys wait in philosophical sadness. Officials move in and out with measured purpose. And under a shaded area sit two scribes. Their pallets rest beside them. Reeds in hand. Sheets of papyrus and shards of pottery nearby. They write marks swift and neat, pausing only to count or consult one another. The child watches from a respectful distance. Their world feels mysterious. No sweat-dark rows of fields. No baskets of fuel. No bent backs over grinding stones. Yet their work also carries weight. Numbers decide grain. Records decide debts. Marks on a page can travel farther than footsteps. One scribe notices him. Without smiling, the man gestures him closer. The child approaches carefully. The scribe writes a simple sign on a broken pottery shard, then hands over the reed. The child tries to copy it. His line shakes. Ink blobs where it should not. The second scribe chuckles softly. The first nods once and takes back the shard. No praise. No scolding. Still, the child feels as if he touched another kind of power. He walks home slowly, tracing the sign in the air with one finger so he will not forget. Evening begins its gentle return. The father and brother come back from the fields dusty and sun-worn. The brother limps slightly from a stone bruise. The father carries a bundle of greens gathered at the edge of an irrigation ditch. Supper is fuller tonight. Lentils cooked soft with onions. Bread warm from reheating. Greens with salt. Everyone eats with the appetite that follows long work. The child tells of the scribes. The older brother snorts and says scribes grow soft hands. The father says nothing for a time. Then he says, soft hands can still command hard ones. The room grows thoughtful. The child studies his own blistered palms in the lamplight. Outside, twilight cools the village. After the meal, neighbors gather briefly in the lane. Adults talk in low voices. Children drift around them like moths around a lamp. Someone brings a small drum and taps a lazy rhythm. Someone else hums along. No festival. No special occasion. only people easing the day from their shoulders together. The child sits on the threshold. He leans against the warm wall and watches stars appear one by one above the roofs. The same stars his ancestors watched. The same stars future children will watch without knowing these names. His mother braids his sister's hair. His brother teases him about becoming a grand scribe. His father sharpens a tool with long patient strokes. The sound of stone on metal slips into the evening like crickets beginning. When at last they go inside, the room holds the day's warmth. Mats are spread. The lamp burns low. The child lies down and closes sore eyes. He thinks of writing marks on clay. He thinks of river water through his fingers. He thinks of cloth growing on the loom. He thinks of how many kinds of work fill one small world. Then sleep comes quietly, and the ancient house breathes around him in the dark. The night passes like slow water. Some hours are remembered. Most are not. A dream flickers and disappears. Someone turns over in sleep. A breeze enters through the doorway and leaves again. Outside, the Nile continues through darkness, carrying moonlight in broken lines. Before dawn, the village rests in a hush so complete that even small sounds feel large. A jar lid lifted. A sandal moved across packed earth. A throat cleared in the next house. Then the mother rises once more. She steps carefully between sleeping bodies. Her shadow moves along the wall in faint starlight. She opens the door, and cool air slips inside. For a few breaths she simply stands there, looking out at the sky. It is the only quiet moment of the day that belongs almost entirely to her. Then she begins. The hearth is stirred. Ashes are shifted. Coals wake reluctantly, then brighten. Grain is poured. Water is measured. The old rhythm returns before sunrise has even thought of appearing. The child wakes later than usual. He opens his eyes to the smell of bread and realizes at once that he has overslept. Children know this feeling in every age. A quick jump of worry. A fear of being behind while the world moves on. He sits upright. His mother glances over and says nothing sharp, which means the lateness is forgiven. Relief washes through him. He rises and splashes water on his face from a basin. It is cool and faintly gritty. He smooths his hair with wet hands and steps into the courtyard where dawn is beginning. Today the sky is clear. No cloud softens the horizon. Light gathers quickly, pale gold spreading over rooftops and low walls. Birds call from palm branches. Somewhere a goat complains about being tied to a post. Breakfast is eaten standing, half moving already. Bread torn by hand. A few olives traded from a traveler weeks ago and saved carefully. Water. The father eats quickly and leaves early with the older brother. There is repair work needed near an irrigation channel. The child watches them go. He wants to be useful, but today his mother keeps him near home. There is washing to do. Cloth bundles are gathered. A basket is packed. Soap, as later ages know, it does not exist here, but ash, sand, and vigorous hands can clean much. The child carries a smaller basket while his mother balances the larger one with practiced ease. They walk to the riverbank. Morning light rests softly on the Nile. Mist lifts in thin ribbons. Other women are already there, kneeling by stones, talking while they work. Children move among them like small birds, half helping, half distracting. The mother chooses a flat place near the water. She kneels, wets cloth, rubs it with ash, beats it lightly against stone, rinses, wrings, folds. Her movements are efficient and strong. The child helps by carrying wet cloth to a nearby line strung between poles. He stretches on tiptoe to hang pieces higher. Drops fall onto his face and make him laugh. Nearby, two women discuss a cousin's marriage arrangement in tones that suggest both sympathy and amusement. Another complains of knee pain. Another says the flood line last year reached farther than anyone admits. The child hears names, fragments, mysteries. Adult conversations are like distant rooms with doors partly open. When the work slows, he kneels by the edge of the water. Tiny fish dart in the shallows. Reeds sway. Mud squishes pleasantly between his toes. He searches for smooth stones and shells polished by current. Each small treasure feels chosen personally by the river. He brings one to his mother. She admires it seriously, then tells him to gather more clothespins made of bent reeds. Children bloom under attention, even brief attention. As the sun climbs, the riverbank grows busier. Men push boats away from shore with poles. Fishermen sort nets heavy with weeds and light with fish. A merchant boat passes, loaded with jars sealed in clay. Its crew moves slowly, saving strength in the warming day. The child stares at the boat. Travel seems magical to those whose world is mostly walked. He imagines cities farther north where temples rise larger than hills, where markets stretch beyond sight, where scribes write all day and never carry water. He imagines lands southward where the river is younger and stranger. His mother calls him back to work. Fantasy must wait until cloth is folded. They return home under stronger sunlight. The basket is heavier now with wet linen. The child carries what he can and pretends not to struggle. His mother notices and silently shifts some weight away from him. Back at the house, cloth is spread on the roof to dry. The child climbs the outer steps carefully, basket in arms. From the roof, the village looks different. Flat roofs at many heights. Courtyards hidden below. Smoke rising from cook fires. Paths winding between homes. The shining ribbon of the Nile beyond it all. He lingers there a moment. Wind moves across the roof, warm already but pleasant. He can hear distant voices blending into one soft murmur. Somewhere a hammer strikes wood. Somewhere a baby cries. Somewhere someone laughs hard enough that others join. Ordinary life from above looks almost peaceful. His mother calls again. He descends reluctantly. By mid-morning she sends him to the potter. A jar has cracked. He carries the broken piece as proof and walks through lanes bright with sun. Dust clings to his ankles. A dog sleeps in the shade of a cartwheel and does not move as he passes. The potter's yard is one of his favorite places. Clay waits in damp mounds beneath cloth. Finished bowls dry on shelves. Large jars stand like silent guards. The wheel spins under practiced hands, turning earth into shape with such ease that it seems sorcery. The potter is broad and gentle-faced, his arms coated in pale dust. He takes the cracked shard, studies it, and nods. A poor firing, he says. The child does not know exactly what that means, but nods back as if he does. The potter gestures him closer. On the wheel, a lump of clay rises under wet hands. A vessel forms from nothing. Walls thin. Rim opens. The child watches without blinking. Then the potter pinches off a small extra piece of clay and tosses it to him. The child catches it clumsily. He kneads it in both hands, cool and soft. He tries to make a bird. It becomes something between a duck and a damaged loaf of bread. The potter says it is excellent. The child knows this is kindness and loves him for it. He returns home with news that a replacement jar will be ready tomorrow. and with clay still under his fingernails. The hottest hours come. The courtyard fills with bright white light. Shade shrinks to narrow strips against walls. The child's sister grows fussy from heat. His mother wets a cloth and lays it across the girl's neck. The child fans her with woven reeds until she sleeps. Then he is told to rest as well. He lies on the floor where it is coolest. Through half-closed eyes he watches dust motes dripped in the beam from the doorway. He hears distant insects and the low murmur of his mother humming while she works. Sleep comes slowly and softly. He wakes later to the smell of onions cooking. Afternoon has mellowed. Shadows lengthen again. The harsh edge of the day has passed. Other children call from outside. He runs to join them. Today they play market. One child is merchant, one is customer, one is donkey, a role assigned with much laughter. Pebbles become dates. Leaves become fish. Broken pottery shards become money. Arguments over prices are passionate and completely invented. The child plays a stern grain seller who refuses all bargains. A girl playing customer calls him a thief. He declares taxes have risen. Everyone collapses laughing. Children rehearse adulthood through play, though they do not know it. Later they race to the river path and back. Bare feet slap dust. Breath burns in their chests. The child comes second and claims first because the winner started unfairly. This is debated loudly until no one cares. As evening cools, the father returns with mud on his legs nearly to the knee. Channel repairs were difficult. He sits heavily and washes in silence. The older brother arrives later carrying reeds for patching part of the roof. His face is drawn with fatigue. The child senses the household mood and becomes quieter. Not every evening is light. Still, supper gathers them. Bread. Onion stew. A little dried fish shared carefully. Water poured in turn. The father speaks at last, describing a collapsed bank and the labor of digging it back. The mother listens while mending a hem between bites. The child tells of the potter's wheel. This brings a small smile even to the father. Clay listens better than water, he says. No one is certain what he means, but it sounds wise. After the meal, the older brother goes to the roof to patch reeds. The child follows carrying cord. Above them the sky deepens purple, then blue-black. First stars appear. They work side by side. The brother ties knots quickly, expertly. The child imitates slower hands. Once, he tangles the cord badly. The brother sighs, then untangles it and shows him again. Watch first, he says. This is how knowledge passes most often. Not in schools. Not in speeches. In shared tasks under fading light. When the roof is done, they sit for a moment before climbing down. The village below glows with scattered lamps. Voices drift upward, softened by distance. The Nile shines faintly beyond the houses. The child feels, for one quiet breath, that the whole world is small enough to hold. Then his mother calls them inside. Mats are laid out. The lamp burns low. Heat stored in the walls begins slowly to leave them. He lies down tired in the sweetest way. His hands smell faintly of clay. His hair smells of river wind. His ears hold the memory of laughter in the lane. And while the stars keep watch over the ancient roofs, sleep returns to him as gently as water touching shore. The darkest hour before dawn is often the quietest. Even the dogs sleep then. Even the donkeys stop shifting their weight and stand in stillness. The breeze pauses in the lanes. Lamps have gone out one by one. Only the stars remain awake above the village, bright and steady over mud brick roofs and the silent ribbon of the Nile. Inside the house, everyone sleeps deeply. The child dreams of boats again. In dreams he is taller, stronger, older. He stands at the stern of a wide vessel and guides it with one hand while people admire his skill. He knows every bend of the river. He fears nothing. Dreams are generous to children. Then morning reaches him. Not with sunlight yet, but with sound. The soft tap of wood against clay. The murmur of his mother's voice speaking to herself. The rustle of grain sacks being opened. He opens his eyes to darkness fading into gray. The house is cool. For a few moments, before the day grows hot, the floor feels almost pleasant beneath bare feet. He stretches and hears joints crack softly, though he is still young enough to find this surprising. His younger sister is already awake, sitting up with tangled hair and a solemn expression. She looks at him as if he is responsible for the sunrise. He makes a foolish face. She laughs at once. There are many small duties older children carry, and one of them is entertaining the younger ones before adults have time. The mother hands him a bowl. He knows what this means. Today he must help grind grain. He kneels beside the stone. The upper stone is heavy. He grips it and begins to push, then pull, then push again. Grain cracks beneath it. Flour dust rises faintly into the cool air. After only a short while, his arms begin to complain. His mother takes over without comment and moves with twice the speed. Strength built over years can make hard work look simple. Breakfast comes soon after. Warm bread, still uneven from the oven wall. A little bean mash with salt. Water. The father eats quickly and prepares to leave. Today he and the older brother will work with the neighbor repairing a wall damaged by last season's dampness. The child hopes to go. Instead, the father points to the goat tethered outside. The rope must be checked. The animal must be watched in the grazing patch later. The child tries not to show disappointment. Childhood often means wanting older tasks while being assigned smaller ones. After the men leave, he takes the goat beyond the houses to a place where scrub grows in sparse stubborn clumps. The animal pulls greedily at anything green enough to resemble food. The child sits on a stone with the rope looped in his hand. Morning light spreads over the land. The river gleams nearby. Insects hum in grasses. A bird lands on a post, studies him briefly, then leaves. The goat tries to wander. He pulls it back. The goat objects loudly. He objects back. Neither wins. Other children are nearby with their own animals. A girl watches 2 skinny sheep. A younger boy trails 3 geese that refuse every instruction. They call to one another across the field. The girl asks what he dreamed last night. He says he captained a great boat. She says she dreamed of eating honey cakes until she burst like a melon. This seems equally grand. Children discuss dreams as if they are news from another country. When the sun climbs higher, he leads the goat home. It has eaten enough to become slow and difficult. Animals often return less willingly than they. Back at the house, his mother is mixing mud with chopped straw in a shallow pit. A wall in the courtyard needs patching. She steps barefoot into the mixture and kneads it with practiced movements. The child joins her gladly. Cool mud squeezes between his toes. He laughs despite trying to appear mature. His mother smiles and shakes her head. Together they carry wet handfuls to the cracked section of wall and press them firmly into place. She smooths the surface with flat palms. He imitates her. His patch is lumpy and proud. Mud brick homes always need attention. Rain can weaken them. Heat can crack them. Time itself can nibble away corners and edges. So people mend, smooth, patch, rebuild, and begin again. A house is less a finished object than an ongoing relationship. When the work is done, they wash at the basin. Brown water swirls away. His mother sends him next to fetch onions from an ant several lanes away. The ant's home smells of herbs drying overhead. She is kneading dough with powerful hands and talking at the same time to a neighbor who never seems to stop speaking. The child waits politely. Adults often continue entire conversations around waiting children as if they are furniture. At last the ant remembers him, laughs, and gives him onions wrapped in cloth. She adds a handful of chickpeas and pinches his cheek hard enough to count as affection. On the walk home he peels one chickpea and eats it. Errand taxes, paid directly to the carrier. By late morning the market lane grows busy, and his mother decides to go. The child is told to come along and carry what is purchased. This is excellent news. The market is one of the liveliest places he knows. Even before they reach it, sounds arrive first. Voices calling prices. Donkeys complaining. Pots clinking. Feet on packed earth. The low constant murmur of many people trying to manage daily life. Then the smells. Fresh bread. Fish. Sweat. Dates. Smoke. Herbs crushed underfoot. Leather. Mud. Sun-warmed baskets. The child loves all of it. His mother moves through the crowd with purpose. She pauses at grain sellers, compares onions, rejects bruised figs, tests the weave of baskets with sharp fingers. She knows exactly how much everything should cost and trusts no one who says otherwise. The child trails behind carrying bundles. He watches a carpenter shave wood curls from a board. He watches a woman dye cloth in a basin of deep color. He watches a man charm no one at all with a poor flute tune. Near a shaded wall sits a storyteller surrounded by children too young for errands. His hands move grandly while he speaks of a giant fish in the river that swallowed a boat whole. The child slows. His mother does not turn around, yet somehow knows. She says his name once. He hurries to catch up. Mothers possess many powers not fully understood. At one stall they trade for dates. The seller slips an extra small one into the child's hand when his mother looks away. The child suspects she notices anyway and allows it. He eats it slowly, letting sweetness last. By the time they return home, the sun stands high and stern overhead. The bundles feel heavier than when purchased. This is one of the quiet mysteries of carrying things. Lunch is simple and late. Bread dipped in oil. Sliced onion. Dates shared among the family members present. The child eats in the shade, back against the cool inner wall. Soon drowsiness comes. The village settles into the heavy pause of midday. Voices lower. Doors close against glare. Even the market sounds far away now. The child lies beside his sister, who sleeps with one foot resting on his leg. He means only to rest his eyes. Sleep takes him whole. When he wakes, the angle of sunlight has changed. The worst heat is passing. His father and brother have returned, both dusted pale from wall work. Bits of dried mud cling to their hair and arms. The father drinks deeply, then lies flat for a short rest. No one disturbs him. The child goes outside where other children gather in the lane. Today they have found a broken wheel rim and are rolling it with sticks. It rattles wildly over stones, bouncing left and right while a pack of laughing children chase after it. The child runs until breath burns in his chest. Then they collapse in shade, panting and grinning. One boy claims he will become a soldier someday. Another says he will own 10 boats. A girl says she will own 10 soldiers and 10 boats. Everyone agrees this is the best answer. As afternoon cools further, the child helps his brother carry reeds to the roof again. Repairs never truly end. While they work, swallows dart overhead catching insects in swift arcs. The brother speaks more than usual today. He says their father's back hurts often now. He says someday the child must help more in the fields. He says if either of them could learn letters, life might be different. Then he shrugs, as if the thought is too large to hold. The child stores these words quietly inside himself. Evening gathers. The mother cooks lentils with onion and herbs from the market. The smell fills the courtyard. Neighbors pass by and greet them. Someone nearby begins singing while kneading dough, the melody slow and familiar. The family eats close together. The father seems less tired after rest. He tells a story from his own childhood about losing a goat and blaming spirits until the goat was found asleep behind a wall. The older brother laughs openly. The child is amazed that his father was ever young enough to lose anything. After the meal, twilight lingers warm and gentle. The child carries a small bowl to the roof and sits there alone for a moment. Below him, lamps begin to glow in scattered houses. Voices soften. The Nile reflects the last pale stripe of sky. He thinks of boats. He thinks of letters drawn on pottery shards. He thinks of goats, markets, mud walls, and dreams large enough to stretch beyond the village. Then his mother calls him down. Inside, mats are laid. The lamp burns low. Night folds itself around the household once more. He lies down tired, content, and heavy-eyed. And before long, with the smell of lentils still in the air and the murmur of distant voices fading away, sleep returns beside the ancient river. The night breeze arrives late. It slips through the lane after midnight, touching walls that stored the day's heat, brushing over rooftops where dust lies thin and pale, moving at last through doorways left partly open for relief. It carries the scent of river water, damp reeds, and far-off smoke. Inside the house, the family sleeps more easily because of it. The child turns once on his mat and sighs. His younger sister sprawls sideways in the careless geometry of sleep. The older brother has one arm across his face. The father rests on his back, breathing slowly. The mother sleeps lightly, as mothers often do, waking to sounds no one else hears. The breeze passes over them all and moves on. Soon enough, the darkest part of night begins to lift. The stars lose some of their sharpness. The eastern horizon softens. Silence thins into small sounds. A cough from a neighboring house. A rooster trying again. Sand shifting beneath someone's early steps. The mother rises. She wraps herself against the remaining coolness and steps into the courtyard. Today she pauses beside the water jar, looking at how low it has become. The child, though still half asleep, hears the clay lid moved aside. He knows before she speaks. Water must be fetched early. He opens his eyes with a groan he hopes sounds brave rather than tired. His mother smiles faintly at the performance. Soon he is walking the lane with the jar held against his hip. Other children are doing the same. Shapes in dawn light move quietly toward the river path, each carrying clay, wicker, or bronze vessels according to what their household owns. Bare feet whisper through dust. Sleep still clings to everyone. The riverbank is calm. Mist hovers low over the Nile. Boats are dark outlines tied to posts. Reeds sway gently. A fisherman crouches in silence repairing net cords by touch more than sight. The child kneels and lowers the jar. Water rises cool around his wrists. He likes this moment each morning, the first touch of the river before the heat claims the day. He fills the jar and stands carefully. Nearby, a friend of his age nearly tips his own vessel and saves it at the last breath. Both boys laugh too loudly for the quiet hour and are shushed by 3 women at once. They carry the water home together. The lane brightens as they walk, rooflines sharpen. Smoke begins rising from many homes. Somewhere bread is already baking. Somewhere someone argues before sunrise, proving some habits wake early. At home, the mother thanks him with an extra piece of fresh bread. No words of reward are needed. Warm bread is enough. Today the father remains home for part of the morning. His back is stiff from recent labor. He sits on a low stool repairing a wooden handle cracked near the grip. The child watches him shave and smooth the wood with a small blade. Tools in this world are precious. A broken handle is not thrown away. It is bound, patched, trimmed, reinforced, and asked to serve again. A basket is rewoven. A sandal is tied once more. Cloth becomes patch, then rag, then cord, then fuel. The father notices the child watching. He hands over a strip of leather. "Wrap here," he says. The child obeys, winding the leather around the handle while the father guides tension and placement. Their hands work close together. No speech is wasted. When the repair is finished, the father tests it once, grunts approval, and sets it aside. The child feels oddly proud, though most of the work was not his. Many childhood victories are shared ones. Later, the mother sends him with his sister to gather figs that have fallen near a grove at the edge of the fields. The sister is small enough to be slow and curious about everything. This doubles the time of every task. She stops to inspect ants. She stops to point at clouds. She stops because she has forgotten why they are walking at all. The child sighs with the dramatic patience of older siblings everywhere. Yet he slows for her each time. The grove offers patches of shade and sweet smell. Fallen figs lie in dust beneath the trees, some split open, some perfect, some already claimed by insects. The children collect the good ones into a basket. The sister finds a misshapen fig and declares it looks like the face of a goat. The child cannot deny this. They laugh until she drops it. On the walk home she tires quickly. He carries the basket in one hand and leads her with the other. She chatters nonsense songs the whole way. Responsibility can be tiring and tender at once. Back at the house, the mother sorts the figs carefully. Best ones for eating soon. Bruised ones for cooking. Soft ones for drying if possible. Nothing useful is wasted if it can be helped. The child eats one still warm from the sun. Sticky sweetness coats his fingers. He licks them clean. By mid-morning, the father has gone to join work crews near the canal again. The older brother left earlier. The house grows quieter without them. The mother begins spinning fiber into thread. She draws and twists with practiced fingers while seated in shade. The child sits nearby carving lines into a scrap of wood with a blunt piece of pottery. He pretends the marks are writing. His mother watches for a while. "What does it say?" she asks. He thinks carefully. "It says I own 10 boats." She laughs softly. "And can it also say you swept the floor?" He groans, but rises. Thus fantasy meets reality. He sweeps dust into neat piles that seem to reappear the moment he turns away. Dust is one of the oldest undefeated enemies of domestic life. When the floor is done, he carries scraps outside, rinses bowls, and refills the small basin from the morning jar. His sister trails behind him carrying one spoon as if helping to move a palace. Noon approaches with weight. Heat gathers in the walls. Light hardens in the courtyard. Even the flies seem slower now. The mother prepares a small meal of bread, onions, and mashed beans. They eat in the narrow shade beside the doorway. The child asks why the Nile floods some years more than others. She says because the gods choose. He asks how they choose. She says if she knew that, she would be rich. He accepts this wisdom. After the meal, everyone rests. The sister sleeps immediately. The mother closes her eyes while sitting upright, spindle still in hand. The child lies on the floor and watches a lizard creep along the wall. Its tiny feet make no sound. He follows it with heavy eyes until sleep takes him too. He wakes to distant thunder. Not storm thunder. Men pounding posts into earth somewhere beyond the houses. Afternoon has begun. The air is still hot, but less cruel than before. He steps outside and finds children already gathering for play. Today they organize races carrying water cups without spilling. This proves difficult and hilarious. One boy runs too fast and drenches himself. Another walks so slowly he is accused of becoming an old man before finishing. The child nearly wins but laughs at the wrong moment and spills everything. Later they build tiny houses of mud against a wall, complete with little courtyards and reed roofs. The child makes his larger than the others and announces it belongs to a nobleman. A girl flicks one wall with her finger and it collapses. Now it belongs to nobody, she says. The children cheer. As the sun lowers, real work returns. The father and brother come home carrying bundles of cut reeds across their shoulders. Their faces are drawn with fatigue. Mud stains their legs. The father's repaired tool handle has held well. The child rushes to help unload. Together they stack reeds by the wall for future repairs, mats, and fuel. Reeds are useful in 100 ways. In a place where resources are precious, usefulness is a kind of beauty. The mother cooks lentils again, this time with chopped figs added for sweetness. The smell surprises everyone pleasantly. At supper, the father speaks of a man who slipped into the canal and emerged angrier than wet. The brother imitates the man's shouting so well that even the mother laughs aloud. The child treasures evenings like this. Not every meal contains laughter. When it comes, it fills the room warmly. After eating, the family steps outside into the lane. Night is arriving slowly. Neighbors sit on thresholds. Someone mends a net by lamplight. Someone hums. Someone tells a story to 3 children who keep interrupting with better versions. The sky above deepens to velvet blue. Stars appear one by one. The child leans against his father's knee. The father absently rests a hand on his hair while listening to nearby talk. It is a small gesture, almost unconscious. The child sits very still so it will last longer. At last they return inside. Mats are spread. The lamp dims low. The air is softer now with the night breeze entering once again. He lies down with tired legs, dusty feet, and a full heart. Beyond the doorway, the Nile moves unseen through darkness. And as the ancient household settles into sleep, another slow day slips quietly into memory. Before the first light, the world feels held in one long breath. The village lies still beneath the stars. Roofs, walls, lanes, courtyards, jars, baskets, tools, sleeping animals, and sleeping people all wait together in darkness. The Nile moves nearby, but even the river seems quieter before dawn. Inside the house, the child wakes suddenly. For a moment he does not know why. Then he hears it. Rain. Not much. Only a brief patter on the roof, reeds and packed earth beyond the doorway. Soft, surprising, rare enough to feel almost magical. Everyone else stirs too. The younger sister sits up in confusion. The older brother mutters. The mother smiles in the dark. The child rises and hurries to the door. Outside, thin drops fall from a low passing cloud. They darken the dust in scattered spots. The smell of wet earth rises at once, deep and rich. It is one of those scents that asks to be remembered. He reaches out a hand. A few drops strike his palm. Then, almost as quickly as it began, the rain fades. The cloud drifts on. The lane returns to stillness. Only damp patches remain, shining faintly in the dim light. The child stands there grinning. Small wonders often visit quietly. Soon the mother begins the fire. Morning waits for no weather. Coals glow, smoke rises, grain is poured, dough is shaped. The household returns to its old rhythm, though now the air carries the sweet smell of wet dust. The father steps outside and studies the sky. He says nothing, but his face softens a little. Any moisture is welcome. Breakfast is simple and warm. Bread, onion, water. The child eats quickly because today he has been promised something unusual. He may go with his father to the larger worksite beyond the fields. Not to labor much. Mostly to carry small things, fetch water, and stay out of trouble. But to the child, this feels like being invited into the grown world. They leave while the sun is still low. The father walks steadily with tools over one shoulder. The child hurries beside him, matching longer strides as best he can. Dew glistens faintly on reeds near the riverbank. Birds skim over the water. Workers from other homes join the road one by one until a quiet line of people moves across the morning land. The worksite lies near a new storage wall being raised. Mud bricks are stacked in rows. Piles of straw wait nearby. Water jars stand in shade. Men lift, align, smooth, and measure. Women carry baskets of mud and clay mixture. Donkeys bear loads with patient misery. The child stops and stares. So many people working together make the place feel like a living machine. The father sets him to carrying smaller bricks from one stack to another. The child is disappointed for half a breath, then proud the next. He grips each brick carefully. They are heavier than they look. Back and forth he goes. Dust coats his ankles. Sweat forms at his temples. The morning grows warmer. A man atop the wall calls for more mortar. Another asks for water. Someone laughs when a donkey refuses to move unless bribed with leaves. Orders, grunts, footsteps, scraping tools, and occasional jokes rise into the air and blend together. The child loves the noise. It sounds like purpose. After some time, he pauses to watch a skilled mason smoothing joints between bricks with fast, neat motions. The wall becomes straight under those hands as if it wishes to please him. The mason notices the child staring. "Bring me water and I'll teach you something," he says. The child runs faster than necessary. He returns with a cup. The mason drinks, wipes his mouth, and shows him how to test whether a brick is sound by tapping it and listening. A dull note means weakness. A firmer sound means better baking. The child taps 3 bricks solemnly. He hears almost no difference. Still, he nods as though entrusted with ancient secrets. Mid-morning arrives. Shade becomes valuable. Workers gather near jars and baskets. Bread is shared. Dates pass from hand to hand. The father sits with other men, eating slowly. The child sits beside him and tries to look equally worn. One man asks if he has built half the wall himself. The child says nearly all of it. Laughter moves through the group like a breeze. The father hides a smile in his bread. When rest ends, the father decides the child has done enough. They walk back while the sun climbs higher. The child carries one small tool proudly. His arms ache. His feet are dusty. He has never felt richer. At home, the mother listens while preparing onions. He tells her of the wall, the mason, the donkey, the tapping test, the stacks of bricks, the noise, the size of everything. He speaks so quickly he nearly forgets to breathe. She nods and says, "Good. Now wash the bowls." Great adventures often end in chores. He washes them anyway, still glowing inside. The midday heat settles hard over the village. Even excitement bows to it. The child lies in shade after eating bread and beans. His sister curls against him and steals half the space. He does not mind. Sleep comes fast. He dreams of building walls taller than palm trees. When he wakes, the day has gentled. The fiercest light is gone. Outside, children are already gathering near the lane. Today someone has brought a ball made of wrapped cloth tied with cord. This transforms the afternoon. They kick it, throw it, chase it, argue over rules, forget the rules, invent new rules, and shout in triumph over meaningless victories. Dust rises around them. Bare feet flash. Laughter spills over walls. The child scores something important according to his own judgment. A girl declares it does not count because he used his elbow. He says elbows are sacred and always allowed. No one agrees. These disputes are half the game. Later, tired and flushed, they sit against a warm wall sharing sips of water from a common cup. One boy says he wants to see the sea someday. Another says the sea is only a larger Nile with worse manners. No one present has seen it. The child says he wants to build a palace. A girl beside him says palaces still need sweeping. He has no answer. As evening draws near, the father returns later than usual. The wall work continued longer than expected. His shoulders sag. The older brother's hands are coated in dried mud to the wrists. The child runs to meet them. He takes a tool from his father before being asked. The father lets him. Small acts of help matter most when fatigue is heavy. Supper tonight is thick lentils, warm bread, and a few precious figs sliced into pieces so everyone tastes some. The family eats close together in the courtyard where air moves more freely. The father asks the child what he learned. The child demonstrates tapping bricks with dramatic seriousness. He taps the wall. He taps a bowl. He taps his brother's arm. The brother swats him away. Even the father laughs aloud. The child stores the sound carefully in memory. Night lowers itself across the village. Neighbors speak softly in nearby doorways. Somewhere a baby resists sleep with determination. Somewhere someone sings while folding cloth. Somewhere sandals scuff the lane one last time. The child helps carry mats to the roof. It is warmer there tonight, with a pleasant breeze moving from the river. Several households nearby have chosen the same idea. Figures settle on roofs beneath the stars, speaking quietly before sleep. The family lies in a row under open sky. The child looks upward. So many stars. More than he can count. more than anyone can own. He asks his father if the stars are holes in the night letting light through. The father thinks for a long time. Then he says, maybe. It is the best answer possible. The child smiles and closes his eyes. The roof still holds a little heat from day. The breeze cools his face. Nearby, his sister is already asleep. His brother whispers something rude and funny, then quiets. His mother adjusts a cloth over everyone's feet. The village settles roof by roof. And under the endless ancient sky, sleep comes gently once more. The roof is warm beneath them long after midnight. Mud brick and packed reed hold the memory of sunlight, slowly releasing it into the dark. The family sleeps beneath the open sky, wrapped in light cloths, while stars turn patiently overhead. Nearby roofs hold other sleeping shapes, other families breathing in soft uneven rhythms. The child wakes once in the night. No reason. Sometimes sleep simply loosens its grip for a moment. He opens his eyes and sees the sky so full of stars that it feels almost crowded. A breeze moves over his face carrying the scent of river water and distant smoke. Somewhere below, a donkey stamps once. Somewhere farther away, a dog answers a sound no human noticed. He turns and sees his father awake too. The father lies on one elbow, looking north where the Nile disappears into darkness. Neither speaks. Then the father settles back down, and the child does the same. Soon sleep returns. When dawn begins, it arrives first as color. The black sky softens to deep blue. Then gray blue. Then pale silver at the horizon. Birds begin before people do. Their calls scatter across the morning air like pebbles tossed lightly on stone. The mother rises first even on the roof. She gathers cloths, nudges shoulders, lifts the sleeping sister gently. The family climbs down the outer steps one by one into the house below where another day already waits. The child helps roll mats and stack them against the wall. He feels proud of waking on the roof, as if it makes him older. Inside, the room seems cooler after the open air. The mother rekindles coals. Smoke curls upward. Grain is poured into the grinding stone. The old music of morning begins again. Today the father goes to the river. There is net work to help a cousin whose hands are injured. The child begs to go. After a short silence, the father agrees. The child nearly drops his bread from joy. They eat quickly and leave while shadows are still long. The path to the river is alive with movement. Men carrying baskets. Women with jars balanced high and steady. Children sent on errands. Fishermen already barefoot in mud near tide boats. Reeds shimmer in early light. At the bank, the cousin sits beside a heap of netting. It looks like a tangled piece of water laid on land. The father kneels and begins sorting lines with patient hands. The child is told to sit close and pass cords when asked. At first he is disappointed. Then he watches more carefully. The net is full of small wisdoms. Broken knots repaired just so. Weights tied at even distances. Tiers mended stronger than before. Rope chosen thicker in one place, finer in another. The father notices him watching. Fish no carelessness, he says. The child nods though he is not sure what fish know. He passes twine, weights, wooden floats, and cups of water. Occasionally he is trusted to pull one section taut while the men tie knots. He does this with solemn intensity. Nearby, boats are being prepared. Long narrow vessels rest half in water, half on mud. Men scrape old weeds from the hulls. Another rubs oil into wood. A younger man bails yesterday's seepage with a bowl. Two brothers argue about nothing important while carrying oars. The child watches everything. River work feels different from field work. The air moves more. The light dances. There is always the sense that one could go somewhere. When the net is ready, the cousin invites the child aboard for a short trip close to shore. The child freezes in joy. He steps into the boat carefully, knees shaking. The father follows last and pushes them free with one strong shove. Water receives them. The boat rocks, then steadies. The child grips the side with both hands. The Nile glides beneath him, green-brown and shining. Reeds pass slowly. Birds lift ahead and settle behind. The village already looks different from water, lower and quieter. The cousin laughs kindly. Relax or you will scare the river. The child loosens one hand. Then the other. Soon he is sitting straighter, eyes wide. They do not go far. Only along the near bank while the men test the repaired net and cast it once in a graceful arc. It lands with a soft slap and disappears. They wait. The child tries not to breathe loudly. When the net is drawn back, only a few small fish shine within it. Enough to please no one greatly, but enough to prove the net sound. The child thinks it is marvelous. Back on shore, he helps carry the catch in a basket no larger than a bowl. The father lets him keep one tiny silver scale stuck to his wrist. He treasures it like metal. They walk home through warming light. The child talks without pause about the boat, the cast, the rocking, the birds, the fish, the feeling of water beneath wood. The father listens. At one point he says only, "Good." That one word is enough. At home, the mother has already completed half a day's work. Bread baked. Floor swept. Water measured. Sister washed. Lentils soaking. She hears the tale with a smile that suggests she expected exactly this flood of words. Then she sends him to fetch more water. Adventure and duty remain close neighbors. He returns to the river path with jar in hand, still imagining himself a great boatman. He nearly forgets to fill the vessel while staring at tide boats. An older woman taps the jar with her stick. "Dream later," she says. He fills it quickly. The midday heat comes early. By noon the courtyard is bright and hard-edged. The family eats bread, onions, and a little fish from the morning catch cooked over coals. The child chews slowly to make the rare taste last. Then everyone rests. The father sleeps flat on his back. The mother dozes sitting upright. The sister sprawls like spilled cloth. The child lies awake longer, replaying the boat ride in his mind until sleep steals in behind the memory. When he wakes, afternoon has softened. Children call from outside. Today they are making boats of reeds in a shallow irrigation ditch where water moves lazily. Each child bends stems, ties fibers, and launches creations that wobble bravely downstream. The child builds his carefully, remembering the real boat's shape. It travels farthest. He becomes unbearable about this victory. A girl quietly sinks his boat with one finger. Balance returns. Later they race along the bank, jump narrow channels, and dare one another to step closest to mud that might swallow a sandal. One boy loses. Great laughter follows. The child comes home splashed and triumphant. The mother sends him immediately to wash. Evening gathers slowly. The father and older brother repair a basket together. The child is allowed to hold the rim while reeds are woven through broken sections. His sister feeds imaginary food to a clay figurine missing one arm. The smell of supper rises. Bean stew thickened with grain. Warm bread. herbs crushed between fingers and scattered on top. They eat in the courtyard while sky turns amber, then rose, then violet beyond the roofline. The child tells the older brother about the boat. The brother pretends not to care, then asks 3 detailed questions. The father notices and says nothing. After the meal, neighbors pass carrying stools into the lane. It is one of those evenings when heat lingers inside houses, so people gather outdoors where air can move. Stories begin without announcement. An old man speaks of a flood year when fish were so many they seemed to leap into baskets by choice. A woman says he lies beautifully. Everyone agrees. The child sits cross-legged near the adults, listening hard. Words about old seasons and strange luck feel like another kind of travel. Night deepens. One by one, lamps are carried back indoors. Voices lower. Children yawn openly. The sister falls asleep against the mother's side and is lifted without waking. Inside, mats are spread on the floor tonight rather than the roof. A breeze still slips through the doorway. The child lies down clutching the tiny fish scale in one fist. He means to hide it tomorrow among his treasures, a smooth stone, a bent bead, a bird feather, a shard with faded paint. But sleep comes before planning is done. His hand relaxes. The scale falls beside the mat unnoticed. And as the Nile moves through darkness beyond the walls, another slow day settles gently into the past. The tiny fish scale lies on the floor through the night. It catches no light because the lamp has gone out. It makes no sound because nothing disturbs it. Yet in the morning, when sun enters through the doorway at just the right angle, it will shine for one bright moment like treasure. For now, the house sleeps. The child dreams of steering a boat again, though in this dream the boat is pulled by goats, which causes no surprise until waking. Dreams ask little logic from anyone. The night passes in soft fragments. A cough. A turning body. Wind at the doorway. The faint call of some bird before dawn. Then morning begins. The mother wakes first, as always. She rises in darkness, feeling for sandals with her toes. She moves through the room with the certainty of long practice, never stepping on sleeping limbs or forgotten baskets. She notices the fish scale near the mat. She smiles and leaves it there. Some discoveries are kinder when left for children to make themselves. Soon the coals glow again. Smoke rises thin and blue. Grain meets stone. Water is poured. The sounds of another day gather one by one. The child wakes to warmth and smell. He stretches, rolls, and sees the scale flashing near his hand. At once he remembers the boat. He snatches it up and grins. Morning has given him back yesterday. He tucks it carefully into a crack in the wall beside his mat where other treasures hide. A smooth pebble. 2 beads that do not match. A feather faded almost white. A broken button of bone. Nothing valuable to others. Priceless to him. Breakfast is eaten quickly. Today the father goes to help move grain sacks at the storehouse. The older brother goes with him. Heavy work, long hours. The mother remains home with washing, grinding, mending, and all the endless invisible labor that fills a house. The child is given a serious task. He must watch the bread in the small oven while the mother visits a sick neighbor nearby. Do not let it burn. These words carry the weight of trust. He nods solemnly. The mother leaves. The child sits beside the oven with a stick in hand. Heat breathes from the opening. The smell of baking dough thickens the air. His sister wanders circles around him asking impossible questions. Can birds swim? Do onions sleep? Why is dust everywhere? He answers with confidence, untroubled by truth. Then he forgets the bread for one dangerous moment while explaining that dust is made by old stars. The smell changes. He yelps, reaches in with the stick, and drags out the loaves just in time. One edge is darker than ideal. He blows on them as if that helps. When the mother returns, she inspects the bread. She says nothing for a moment. Then she breaks off a corner, tastes it, and nods. Still bread. The child feels as relieved as if he had saved a temple. Later, she sends him to the storehouse with a wrapped meal for the father and brother. The child loves deliveries because they make him part of the larger moving world. He carries the bundle through lanes already warm with morning. At the market path, sellers arrange onions, fish, jars, and linen. Voices rise. A donkey blocks everyone's plans. Life proceeds around it. The storehouse is busy. Men shoulder sacks. Officials count and gesture. Dust hangs in the light. Grain smells dry and rich in the air. He spots his father first, bent beneath a load, carrying it with slow controlled steps. The older brother follows with a smaller sack, jaw set stubbornly. The child waits until the load is down. Then he offers the meal. The father's face changes at once. Fatigue remains, but softness enters around it. They sit in shade beside the wall and eat bread, onions, and bean mash from the wrapped cloth. The brother drinks deeply and wipes sweat with his forearm. The child watches workers passing. Some are quick. Some are old and steady. Some joke under strain. Some save all breath for lifting. The father points to the officials nearby scratching marks onto tablets and papyrus. Every sack becomes numbers there. The child studies them. He wonders whether numbers are lighter to carry than grain. When the meal is done, the father hands him a small scoop of spilled grain gathered from the ground. Take it home. Nothing useful should be lost. The child walks back carefully, proud of his errand and his little treasure of grain. At home, the mother pours the grains into a jar with the others. Even a handful matters. The child asks if numbers truly hold grain. She says numbers hold power, which is close enough. Midday approaches. Heat settles over the village like a blanket no one asked for. The child helps draw a cloth across part of the courtyard to make deeper shade. Then he carries water to cool the floor where his sister will nap. She resists sleep heroically. He tells her the story of a crocodile who refused naps and became so tired he mistook a palm tree for soup. She falls asleep before hearing the end. The child lies down nearby. Through half-closed eyes he watches sunlight move across the wall inch by inch. Somewhere beyond, a pigeon coos lazily. Somewhere a pot lid rattles. Somewhere a man laughs too loudly, then coughs. Sleep comes in warm waves. When he wakes, afternoon has mellowed. His mother is spinning thread again. The sister is awake and immediately unreasonable. The child escapes outside. Other children gather near the lane with sticks and stones arranged in careful lines. They are playing a strategy game learned from older brothers and half understood by anyone. Stones are armies. Scratches in dirt are roads. Rules are argued more than followed. The child loses quickly. He claims sabotage. Then they abandon the game and chase one another instead, which everyone understands better. They run through sunlit lanes, around walls, over low steps, and past tethered goats that stare with ancient disapproval. Dust rises behind them like smoke. Later they collapse in shade, sharing figs one child stole fairly from his own family's basket. Conversation turns grand as tired children's talk often does. One says he will be the strongest worker in the village. One says she will marry a rich merchant and eat dates daily. One says he will own 100 goats. The child says he will have a boat, a house with 2 roofs, and servants to grind grain. They all agree this last detail proves true ambition. Evening nears. The father and brother return coated in dust from shoulder to sandal. Their steps are slower than usual. Grain sacks leave a kind of weariness that sinks into bone. The child brings water before being asked. The brother drinks first and pours some over his own head. The mother pretends annoyance and laughs at the same time. Supper is humble but welcome. Bread, lentils, onion slices, a little oil drizzled carefully. Everyone eats with the silence of honest hunger. After the meal, the father stretches his back against the wall and closes his eyes. The child sits beside him quietly. After a time, the father speaks. When I was your age, I carried a sack too large for me and fell backward into grain. The child turns in delight. What happened? I was laughed at for 3 days. The father opens one eye. Then I learned to lift properly. The child treasures the story more than any tale of kings. Because fathers were once children too. Night arrives soft and warm. The family climbs to the roof again where air moves better. Nearby roofs hold silhouettes settling into place. Voices drift from one household to another across the dark. The child lies on his back and traces shapes between stars. A fish. A boat. A goat. A sack of grain. The sister insists one star is hers. No one challenges this claim. The older brother says he may leave one day to work farther north where wages are better. The mother says nothing for a while. Then she asks who will patch roofs badly in his absence. Everyone laughs. Even talk of leaving becomes gentler under stars. The child grows heavy-eyed. He hears the low murmur of adults continuing conversation. He feels the roof warm beneath him and the breeze cool above him. He thinks of numbers holding grain. He thinks of treasure hidden in wall cracks. He thinks of how tomorrow might bring another errand worthy of importance. Then the stars blur. And sleep takes him quietly above the ancient lanes. The roof cools slowly toward dawn. What was warm beneath sleeping bodies becomes pleasant, then faintly cool, then touched by the last softness of night. The family still sleeps in a row beneath the stars, wrapped in light cloths, while the village around them lies quiet and silvered in moonlight. The child wakes before anyone else. This almost never happens. For a moment he is proud simply to be awake while the others sleep. He lifts his head carefully. His sister's arm is across his leg. His older brother snores in short stubborn bursts. His mother sleeps with one hand tucked beneath her cheek. His father lies flat and still, face calm in a way it rarely is during the day. The child sits up slowly. Above him, the stars are fading. He feels as if he has discovered a secret hour that belongs only to those who rise early enough or dream lightly enough. The roofs of nearby homes are dotted with sleeping shapes. A few adults elsewhere are already awake, sitting quietly in the half-dark. He looks toward the Nile. The river is only a dark band now, but a thin mist hovers over it like breath. He hugs his knees and waits for sunrise. This waiting feels important, though he could not explain why. Gradually the eastern sky changes. Black becomes blue. Blue becomes pale gray. Then a narrow line of gold appears so softly that it seems imagined. Birds begin all at once. From reeds, roofs, walls, and trees comes a scattering of calls, chirps, whistles, and complaints. The village is no longer sleeping, though many eyes remain closed. The child smiles. He has watched the world wake. Then his mother opens one eye and says, "Since you are awake first, fetch water first." Secrets of dawn often end in chores. He climbs down from the roof carrying a jar still cool from night air. The lane below is calm but stirring. A man sweeps dust from his doorway, though more dust waits nearby. A woman shakes cloth over a wall. A dog stretches extravagantly. At the river path, only a few people have arrived. The child enjoys this rare quietness. No crowd at the bank. No jostling jars. No gossip already in motion. Just soft mud, reeds bending gently, and the broad patient water. He kneels and fills the jar. Mist touches his face. He hears the dip of an oar somewhere unseen. For a moment, he imagines he is the only person awake in the whole world. Then an old fisherman behind him clears his throat loudly. The child nearly drops the jar. The fisherman laughs for a long time. Back home, the mother is pleased by the early water and says so by handing him the first warm piece of bread. This is high praise. Today the father must travel to a nearby village to help a cousin with roof repairs. The older brother goes too. They will be gone most of the day. The child wishes to join them. Instead, he is told to stay and help at home. He tries not to show disappointment, but the mother notices. "There is work here too," she says. "There always is." After breakfast she sets him to sorting dates. Some are firm and good for keeping. Some must be eaten soon. Some are too soft and will be mashed into paste. The child likes tasks involving food more than tasks involving sweeping. His sister steals one when no one is looking. Unfortunately, everyone is looking. She smiles with cheeks full and escapes consequence through charm. Later the mother takes a basket of linen to trade and leaves the child in charge for a short while. This feels grand and dangerous. He is to watch the house, keep the sister safe, and let no chickens inside. The first two tasks are manageable. The third becomes immediate. A determined chicken marches through the doorway as if it owns the place. The child lunges. The chicken dodges. His sister shrieks with delight and assists no one. The chase circles the room, spills into the courtyard, returns through the doorway, and ends only when the child traps the bird beneath a basket. He stands panting, victorious. The sister applauds wildly. When the mother returns, she sees feathers drifting in the air and asks no questions. Some scenes explain themselves. By midday, the heat rises fast. The child and his sister sit in the shade while the mother grinds grain. He fans the coals when asked, brings water when asked, moves jars when asked, and begins to understand that many days of adulthood may simply be long strings of being asked. Still, there is pride in being useful. For the meal they eat bread with mashed dates and a little oil. Sweetness in the middle of the day feels luxurious. Then comes the hot stillness. The lane outside grows quiet. Voices lower. Doors close halfway against glare. Even the chicken has abandoned ambition and rests in shade. The child lies on the floor where coolness lingers longest. His sister places a reed doll on his chest and commands him not to move. He falls asleep obeying. When he wakes, the doll is gone and so is the worst of the heat. Afternoon light has turned softer. The mother is mending a tear in one of the father's garments. She hands the child a bundle of thread and sends him to the neighbor who lent it. The neighbor's courtyard smells of herbs and wet clay. An old man there is teaching two younger boys to plait rope from fibers. The child pauses to watch. Twist, fold, tighten. Twist, fold, tighten. The rope grows longer from many small motions. The old man notices him staring and waves him over. Soon the child is trying with clumsy fingers. His first section unravels instantly. The boys laugh. The old man says, "Good. Now you know what not to do." This seems like wisdom. He returns home carrying the memory of rope making more than the errand itself. Soon children gather outside for play. Today they build a road in dust for pebbles rolled as carts. Small walls line the path. Bridges of broken tile cross imaginary canals. Arguments erupt over whose pebble donkey may pass first. The child becomes a merchant demanding tolls. A girl sweeps his road away with one foot. Revolts happen quickly in small kingdoms. Later they sit by the wall sharing stories overheard from adults. Tales grow stranger with each retelling. Someone's uncle fought off 3 thieves with a spoon. Someone's aunt baked bread so good a priest cried. Someone's cousin saw a fish larger than a bed. No one doubts anything for long. As sunset nears, the father and older brother return. They are tired, sunburned, and carrying a small bundle of thanks from the cousin, onions, 2 figs, and a coil of rope. The child notices the rope first and proudly explains he nearly learned rope making today. The brother says, "Nearly is my favorite kind of learning." The child throws dust at him. "Supper is cheerful tonight." The father says the cousin's roof leaned like an old drunk before they fixed it. The mother says some roofs improve by leaning away from their owners. Even the older brother laughs with food in his mouth. The figs are cut into pieces and shared. The child eats his slowly. After the meal, twilight lingers warm and lavender above the roofs. Families gather in the lane. Someone taps a small drum lazily. Someone else sings only the chorus of a song because no one remembers the rest. The child sits beside his father on a low step. They watch swallows dart overhead catching insects in the last light. "Did you really wake before dawn?" the father asks. "Yes." "And what did you learn?" The child thinks carefully. "That birds are loud." The father laughs quietly. Then he nods as if this is worthy knowledge. Later, mats are carried to the roof again. The family settles beneath stars reborn after sunset. The child lies down still pleased with the day, though nothing grand had happened beyond water, bread, chickens, rope, laughter, and figs. Often that is enough. He closes his eyes to the murmur of nearby roofs and the far hush of the Nile. And while the night breeze begins its gentle walk through the village once more, sleep finds him easily. The night settles again like a soft cloth laid over the village. One by one, the sounds fade. The drum in the lane slows and stops. The last voices drift apart and dissolve into distance. Even the dogs, who always seem to know more than people about when to rest, finally lie down and become still shapes in the dark. On the roof, the family sleeps under a wide sky. The child's breathing is slow and even now, the kind that comes after a day that filled itself completely with small, ordinary work. His hand rests open near his face. Somewhere nearby, his sister shifts closer in sleep without waking. The father's presence is steady, unmoving. The mother lies lightly curled, as if always partly aware even in rest. Above them, the stars continue their patient turning. Hours pass without notice. Then, just before dawn, something changes in the air. It is not a sound at first. It is a feeling. A thinning of darkness. A soft loosening of night's weight. The river, though unseen, seems closer somehow, as if it has risen quietly toward the village in sleep. The child wakes again first. Not suddenly this time. Slowly, like a door opening without force. He lies still for a moment, looking up. The sky is still dark, but not as deep as before. A faint silver band rests low in the east. The stars are fewer now, though still present, like watchers preparing to leave their posts. He turns his head slightly. The village below is the same familiar shape of roofs and walls, but it feels gentler in this hour. Less crowded with life. More open to quiet. He thinks about going back to sleep. But something about the morning pulls him gently upward instead. Carefully, he sits. The roof is cool beneath him. The air carries that clean, river-washed feeling that only comes before heat begins its long work on the land. He listens. Nothing urgent. Only a distant rooster. A faint rustle from another roof where someone else has also woken early. He hugs his knees and waits. This waiting is no longer accidental like yesterday. It feels chosen now, even if he did not truly choose it. The first light arrives slowly. Not as a burst, but as a spreading. The sky brightens inch by inch, like cloth being stretched over something vast and unseen. The river begins to reveal itself as a faint ribbon of moving gray. The reeds near its edge become shapes instead of shadows. The child watches everything as it becomes real. Birds begin again, but softer this time, as if they too are waking carefully. Behind him, movement stirs on the roof. The mother opens her eyes first, then the father. No one speaks yet. There is a shared understanding in the early morning that words are not required. They begin the descent from the roof. One by one, mats are folded. Cloth is gathered. The sister is lifted and carried without protest. The older brother follows last, still half in sleep, rubbing his face with one hand. Inside the house, morning takes shape quickly. The hearth is already warm from earlier tending. The smell of grain returns almost immediately, as if it never truly left. Water is poured. Bread is prepared. The familiar rhythm resumes its place in the world. Today feels slightly different, though nothing has changed on its surface. The child notices it but cannot name it. Perhaps it is only the memory of being awake first. Breakfast is simple as always. Bread, a little oil, a few dates. The child eats quickly, still thinking of the sky changing above the roof. The father watches him for a moment. "You did not fall from the roof," he says. The child shakes his head proudly. "That is good," the father replies. It is the closest thing to praise he gives. After breakfast, the father and older brother prepare to leave for field work again. The day promises irrigation maintenance and stone clearing from the far edge of the canal. The child is told he will stay behind. But not idle. There are baskets to mend. The mother brings out broken weaving reeds and places them in his lap. She shows him how to weave new strands through the damaged section, slow and careful. At first, his hands are impatient. The reeds snap or slip. The mother does not correct him immediately. She simply lets him try again. After a while, his movements begin to slow. The weaving becomes less like a task and more like rhythm. In and out. Over and under. Pull and settle. The sound of it is almost like breathing. His sister sits nearby pretending to help, which mostly means removing reeds after he places them. He does not mind as much as he pretends to. Outside, the village is already fully awake now. A cart passes slowly in the lane, wheels groaning softly. Someone calls out greetings. A goat escapes briefly before being caught by laughter instead of anger. Life continues in its gentle repetition. Later in the morning, the mother sends the child to the river again. Not for urgency this time. Just for filling jars that will be used throughout the day. He carries the clay vessel along the familiar path. The ground is already warming, but not yet harsh. The riverbank feels like a place still holding on to night in certain shaded corners. At the water's edge, he kneels. The Nile moves steadily, unchanged by the small human movements around it. He fills the jar slowly this time, watching the water rise and settle. Nearby, a woman rinses cloth while humming under her breath. A fisherman untangles a net caught on a stick. A child much younger than him throws pebbles into the water and watches the ripples as if they are answers. The child studies the river longer than usual. It does not feel like a place that begins or ends. It feels like something that simply continues. When he returns home, the mother is grinding grain again. The sound is steady, almost soothing now that he recognizes it so well. She asks him to help prepare dough. He sits beside her and adds water slowly, mixing with both hands. The texture changes under his fingers from dry dust to something alive and elastic. He watches carefully, learning without being told. Work is quieter this morning. Even the air feels slower. After a while, the mother lets him rest in the shade while she shapes the dough into loaves. The child lies back against the wall. From here, he can see a narrow strip of sky above the rooftops. A few birds pass through it, then disappear. A faint breeze moves dust in small lazy circles near his feet. He thinks about the boat again. Not as a dream this time, but as memory. The weight of the wood. The motion of water beneath it. The feeling of being carried forward without touching the ground. He closes his eyes. Sleep almost arrives, but does not fully take him. Instead, he remains in that soft in-between place where thinking is slow and light. Voices from outside drift in. Adults speaking. Children laughing somewhere nearby. A hammer striking wood in steady rhythm. The village feels held together by sound. By midday, heat gathers again. The child and his sister are given a small task of carrying water to neighbors. It is not heavy work, but frequent. Jar after jar. Door after door. Each house has its own small world inside. One neighbor gives them a dried fig each. Another tells them to be careful not to spill. Another simply smiles and says nothing, which feels like permission to linger a moment in the shade. By the time they return home, the sun is high and strong. Lunch is already waiting. Bread and lentils, warm and simple. Everyone eats with less conversation now, as if the heat encourages quiet. Afterward, the house settles into its midday stillness. The child lies down again. This time sleep comes quickly, like a familiar path already known by the body. When he wakes, the world outside has softened. Afternoon light is lower, less harsh. Shadows begin to stretch again. The village slowly returns to movement. He steps outside. Children are gathering near a wall where someone has drawn a long winding line in dust. It becomes a road, a river, a journey depending on how each child chooses to see it. They begin to play. Running along it. Crossing it. Defending imaginary points. Building small rules that change every few minutes. The child joins without hesitation. For a while, everything becomes motion and laughter and dust rising around bare feet. Time passes without being counted. Later, when the sun begins to tilt toward evening, they sit in a row against a warm wall, tired in the peaceful way only children can be after play. They talk about small futures. Boats again. Houses again. Journeys again. Always something slightly beyond reach, but never impossible in imagination. When the fathers return, the day folds gently toward its close. Dust on their clothes. Fatigue in their steps. Familiar silence between them that speaks of labor completed but not forgotten. Supper is prepared. Bread baked fresh. Onions sliced. A little oil shared carefully. They eat together as the sky changes color above the rooftops. The child tells his father about weaving reeds today. The father nods once. "That will help you," he says. Nothing more. But it feels enough. Night begins its slow return. Lanterns are lit in scattered homes. The lane fills briefly with soft conversation. A dog barks once and then decides not to continue. The family moves again toward the roof. The air is cooler now, carrying the faintest scent of river and smoke and baked earth. They lie down together beneath emerging stars. The child looks upward. The sky feels familiar now in a deeper way, as if he recognizes its patterns not just with his eyes, but with his days. His hand rests beside him, empty. No fish scale tonight. No treasure needed. Only the sound of his family settling into sleep, and the steady presence of the river beyond the walls, continuing its long patient journey through the dark. The night settles more deeply than the one before it. Not in any dramatic way. Nothing changes suddenly. It is only that everything grows quieter, as if the village itself has leaned further into rest. The roofs hold still. The walls stop releasing heat. Even the wind feels less like movement and more like presence. On the roof, the family sleeps under a wide and steady sky. The child's breathing is slow and even. His hand rests open near his face again, as if waiting for something small to land there. The sister is pressed close, warm and unaware. The older brother has shifted slightly in sleep, turning toward the center of the group. The father lies still and solid, the kind of stillness that suggests strength even in rest. The mother sleeps lightly, as always, adjusting without waking whenever a child moves. Above them, the stars continue their patient work. No one notices when a few begin to fade. No one marks the exact moment when night begins to loosen its hold. But somewhere far beyond the roofs and reeds, the river keeps moving in its long unbroken rhythm, and that movement seems to pull the morning closer even before it arrives. The child wakes before it properly begins. Not because of sound. Because of light. A faint shift in the sky, almost imperceptible, like a thought forming before words. He opens his eyes. The world above him is still dark, but it is no longer the same darkness of deep night. It feels thinner, as if worn slightly at the edges. The stars appear less sharp now, softened by distance. He does not move at first. He simply watches. There is something different about this waking. Not urgency. Not excitement. Something quieter. A sense that he is early in a way that matters, even if nothing about the world demands it. Below the roofline, the village is still asleep. But not entirely. A distant door creaks. A faint movement in a courtyard. A rooster tries once, fails, then tries again. The child slowly sits up. The roof is cool beneath him, but not cold. The air carries the soft, clean feeling that belongs only to before sunrise hours, when the day has not yet claimed anything. He hugs his knees. And waits. This time, he does not feel lost in the waiting. He feels part of it. As if he is sitting inside the pause between night and morning, holding it gently in place by being awake. The sky begins to change again. A faint gray line appears at the horizon. Then a thin wash of pale blue spreads above it. The darkness does not vanish, it simply withdraws, step by step, like a curtain being drawn back without haste. Birds begin to speak. Not all at once this time. First one. Then another. Then a scattered answering across roofs and trees and reeds. The sound feels softer than usual, as if they too are waking carefully. Behind him, the family stirs. The mother sits up first. She does not look surprised to find him already awake. Only observant, as if noting something natural. "You found the morning early again," she says gently. The child nods. The father exhales slowly and sits up next. The older brother follows, rubbing his face. The sister remains asleep for a moment longer, then rolls closer to warmth. There is no rush. Even morning feels patient here. They descend from the roof in their usual order, carrying mats and cloths down the narrow steps. Inside the house, the air is slightly warmer, holding yesterday's life within its walls. The hearth is already prepared. A small ember is brought back to life. Smoke rises. The familiar rhythm resonates without hesitation. The child helps without being told. He brings water, then sits near the grainstone, watching his mother begin her work. There is comfort in repetition now. Not boredom. Something steadier. Breakfast is simple. Bread. A little oil. A few dates shared evenly. The father speaks first today. There is work to be done at the canal again. Water must be guided more carefully after the recent changes in flow. The older brother will go with him. The child listens, hoping for inclusion. But today, the father pauses slightly before speaking again. "You will come," he says. Only that. The child freezes for a moment, as if not trusting the words at first. Then it settles in. He is going. Not just nearby work. Not just carrying water. But the canal itself, where movement of water and earth is larger, more serious, more demanding. He tries not to move too quickly in his excitement, but fails. The mother notices immediately. She says nothing against it. Only adjusts his cloth properly and presses a small piece of bread into his hand for later. The morning feels suddenly brighter, though the sky has not changed. They leave while the village is still easing into full wakefulness. The path to the canal is familiar now in direction, but different in feeling. It stretches farther than usual, crossing open fields where reeds grow wild and the ground feels less shaped by daily feed. The child walks between his father and brother. The father carries tools. The brother carries rope and a wooden lever. The child carries nothing but attention. When they arrive, the canal is already alive with activity. Water moves through it in a controlled, slow force. Not the calm river, but a guided version of it. Men stand along its edges checking banks, clearing debris, adjusting flow points. The earth here looks more shaped, more worked, more temporary in its stability. The father kneels immediately near a section of weakened bank. The older brother joins him. The child is shown where to stand safely and told to observe first. So he observes. He watches how water presses against soil, how small cracks become larger if ignored, how quickly erosion can begin in places that looked firm yesterday. The canal feels like something breathing. In and out through channels. Moving and resting in cycles. A man nearby shows him how to press clay into gaps along the bank to slow the water's pull. The child kneels and tries it carefully. The clay is cool and heavy in his hands. He presses it into place. The water touches it immediately. He watches closely. It holds. For now. He feels a small, serious pride. Work continues steadily. Not loud, but constant. The sound of water, tools, footsteps on wet earth, occasional short instructions passed between workers. Time becomes less noticeable here. At mid-morning, they pause briefly. The father sits on the edge of the canal, legs hanging slightly above water. The child sits beside him. The older brother drinks slowly, then wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. The father looks at the water. Everything here depends on it, he says. The child watches the slow movement. It does not feel powerful in the way storms might be imagined to be powerful. It feels persistent. Unstoppable in a quiet way. After the break, they return to work. The child is given a small role again. Carrying clay. Passing stones. Helping hold rope while others secure sections of the bank. Each task is simple alone, but together they form something larger. By the time the sun begins to tilt, the canal edge looks more stable than before. Not finished, but steadier. The father nods once, satisfied enough for the day. They begin the walk home. The child feels the tiredness only when they are already leaving. His hands are dirty with clay that has dried in thin lines across his fingers. He flexes them slowly as they walk. On the way, the brother speaks more than usual. He points out where the land dips slightly and says that water always remembers such places. He says the canal will need attention again soon. He says work like this never truly ends. The child listens. Not fully understanding, but remembering. When they reach home, the mother is already cooking. The smell reaches them before the door. Bread, onions, something slow and warm. The child's sister runs to him immediately and presses her face against his dirty hands as if greeting a returning traveler. He laughs and lifts her briefly before setting her down again. The family eats together. The father is quieter than usual, but not unhappy. The older brother eats quickly, already thinking of tomorrow. The mother watches everyone in small pauses between her own bites. After eating, the child steps outside alone for a moment. The lane is calmer now in late afternoon. Shadows stretch longer. The sky has softened into a gentle pale blue. He looks toward the direction of the canal. He thinks about water pressing into earth. He thinks about holding it back with clay. He thinks about how everything holds, only for a while. Behind him, the village continues its ordinary movement. Smoke rising. Voices passing. Children laughing somewhere farther down the lane. He stands there quietly until someone calls his name from inside. Evening is beginning. And like every evening before it, it will bring light, then stillness, then night again, carrying the day gently away into memory. The sun lowers without hurry, as it always does. It does not announce the end of anything. It simply softens, thins, and lets the village slip into evening the way water slips back into its channel after being held for a time. The child is on the roof again with his family. Not because it is special tonight. Only because it is familiar. The mats are laid out. The air is easier here, where it can move freely across open space. Below them, the village is already becoming quieter, one doorway at a time. There is less talking now. Less movement. More resting. The father sits with his back against a low wall, eyes half closed. The mother folds cloth slowly beside him, not in a rush, not behind schedule, simply finishing what the day asked of her. The older brother lies with one arm over his forehead. The sister is already asleep, small and turned inward like a curled leaf. The child lies on his back. He watches the sky. It is not yet full night, but it is no longer day either. That thin in-between space spreads above the roofs, where color fades but darkness has not yet arrived. A few early stars appear, faint and uncertain at first. He remembers pieces of the day in no particular order. Water at the river in the early silence. Clay pressed against the canal bank. Bread warm from the hearth. Dust on his hands. The feeling of watching the world wake before anyone else. None of it feels large on its own. But together, it feels like a life gently lived. He turns his head slightly. The father is still awake. Not speaking. Just present. The child does not ask anything. There is nothing he needs to ask. The evening air moves softly across the roof, carrying the last warmth of the day away. Somewhere below, a door closes. Somewhere farther off, a bird calls once and then stops. The sky deepens. Stars return more fully now, one by one, as if someone is quietly placing them back into the night. The child's eyes grow heavy. His thoughts slow. Not disappearing, just becoming softer, farther apart, easier to rest between. He no longer follows them. The sounds of the house become distant, as if they belong to another layer of the world. Breathing. A small shift of cloth. The steady, patient presence of the river beyond the walls, continuing its movement without interruption, without urgency, without end. The child lets go of wakefulness without noticing the exact moment it happens. The roof beneath him is warm in the places where the day once stayed. The air above him is cool and open. And the village, the river, the fields, the canal, the slow work of hands and water and bread and sleep, all of it settles together into one long quiet breath that does not need to be spoken. Night becomes complete. And in that completeness, everything rests.